feels of loss of many.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Now, today we are celebrating a powerhouse in the mental health field, okay? A woman who represents growth, purpose, and evolution. From criminal justice to counseling, from supportive housing to private practice, and even entrepreneurship. This is what it looks like when passion meets purpose. Let's welcome Chanel Weathers.
Oh, thank you. That's such an introduction.
Absolutely. So first, I always like to start off with a mental health check. How are you feeling today?
I'm amazing today. It's a good Sunday, Palm Sunday.
Yes, Palm Sunday. Absolutely.
I feel good today. Thank you.
That's good.
How are you today?
I'm good. I can't complain. Awesome. You know, as long as I have my coffee, I'm running. I'm awesome. Persevering. The show doesn't stop. So
that's right.
Let's take it back to the beginning, right? What was childhood like growing up, and what early experiences shaped your desire to help others?
So I had an amazing childhood. I come from a two-parent home. My parents were complete opposites, so I feel like I got the best of both worlds. My father was like kind of into the things, and my mom was the educated Black woman, kind of doing all the things. So I feel like I got a good, I was raised in a good, rounded, culturally place. Everyone in my family is a caretaker. Doctors, nurses, teachers, social workers. And I thought I was going to go the opposite direction. I was like, I don't want to do nothing that you guys are doing. I want to do something completely different. But I ended up here anyway.
Wow. Very nice. It's always good to have that balance, right? You kind of get to see the best of both worlds. Yeah. So you come from a service-oriented background. When did you realize helping people wasn't just something you admired, but something you wanted to do?
Never. So when I was a kid, people would just talk to me. Just give me all of their stuff. From as young as I can remember, they would just give me their stuff. And I would be like, what am I supposed to do with this? Complete strangers on the train, sitting next to me. They'll start like, hey, can I get directions? And I'm like, oh man, I know this is going to turn into something else. And at some point I was like, well, I need to do something with this. Like, I can't just, people are, for whatever reason, choosing to trust me with this information, or they feel like I'm a safe space for this information that they have. So now what can I do with it on the other end?
Right. So, you kind of had that aura, right? And you
I guess so. People told me I had the aura. I didn't figure that out for myself.
But at what point did you say that, yeah, this is my lane, right? Social services, mental health, and impact.
It was kind of early on. So when I went to school for criminal justice, high school even. It was a public service high school where we had to do a lot of community service and just get into helping and giving back to the community. When I initially went to college, I went for forensic science because I thought that was my lane. And there I started getting into like the criminal justice field because forensic science and criminal justice were tied together at some point. You had to know both sides. So it was kind of there, like high school, early college, where I was like, all right, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is not necessarily what I want to do, but this is what I've been doing for so long that let me lean into this a little bit.
And you mentioned that criminal justice degree. What drew you to that field initially?
Well, I thought I was going to be a lawyer. And initially, I thought you needed a criminal justice degree to become a lawyer. And I found out later that those two lanes are completely different.
For sure.
But criminal justice, like, I grew up in a well-rounded family, to put it in those type of words, right? So I've been impacted by the criminal justice system through my whole life. So it just made sense to want to understand and learn that. At one point, I thought I was going to work in the criminal after I knew this wasn't the lawyer path. I thought I was going to work in the criminal justice system in some type of way. I wanted to be an analyst. I've always been the type of person, I guess this ties into your earlier question. I've always been the type of person to question and want to know why. Why are these things happening? How are you affected by it? How are you impacted by it? Right. So as a criminal justice major, I thought I was going to be like an analyst or something in the criminal justice system.
Sounds good. So it sounds like, you were like an advocate of justice from an early age.
Yeah, some by choice, some not by choice, just by circumstance.
Okay, so then fast forward, right, your early work with organizations like Safe Horizon and Women in Need. What did those frontline experiences teach you about trauma and resilience?
So even before that, when I was in college, I went to a HBCU in Georgia, Albany State University. I was a criminal justice major there, and I was actually the president of our criminal justice club.
Very nice.
And we had to do service. So we had to give back to our local community. And one of the major projects that I worked on was the Lily Pad over Georgia. And what that was at the time was a sane space. So children who were victimized, they didn't necessarily go to the hospital because they're underage. They came to these sane spaces where they had nurses and doctors and people to check on the child who just had a traumatic experience without there being so much chaos of a hospital. So it was kind of there that I was like, you know what, this needs a voice. These are children, they're innocent, and these things have happened to them in such a way that it's going to impact them for the rest of their lives if there's no interaction, if there's no intercedent here. So it was there, kind of like I was, there needs to be something here between when trauma happens and how you continue on with the rest of your life. So it was there that I realized that people are victims, maybe victim's not the right word, but people as adults are directly a reflection of how they grew up as children and the experiences you had throughout your lifetime. And if there isn't some type of segue for you to check in on yourself or even have the awareness or knowledge or resources, access that you can do something differently so that your life is not impacted negatively by your trauma, then this is how the two adults emerge.
Right. Very well said. Woo. Cafe Club. You guys are getting a masterclass today. And they say the best way to affect change is to put yourself in a position to affect that change. How did working with the vulnerable populations, right, whether it's homeless families, survivors of violence, shape your clinical lens today? If you could reflect back.
How did it shape my clinical lens? That's a really great question. It shaped it in the sense that you learn how to be a clinician in school, but when you work in the field, it's not the same thing that you learned in school. So when you are talking to people and they're giving you their life, right? As a clinician, I've had to learn how all of the social determinants play into what's happening with this person and not just pathologize them, not just say, oh, you meet the characteristics of this without really getting into what caused this, right? Especially in the Black and brown communities. I'm a BIPOC therapist first, right? I'll talk to anybody, I'll work with anybody, but working with our community is super important to me because a lot of times our people are just over pathologized and things that happen, like their circumstances or their happenstances are not taken into account or into consideration. And it's just like, oh yeah, this is what it is. And everything else is kind of pushed to the side.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate, right? Because a lot of things, unfortunately, we just kind of normalize.
Yeah.
And then it's not until we get out of those areas we realize, man, this really isn't normal.
Right.
But we continue to cope, unfortunately, whether it's unhealthy coping skills or healthy coping skills. But, like you said, it's kind of important to kind of seek out that self and kind of check yourself, right? Kind of almost heal that inner childhood.
Yeah. It's super important. Adults are direct reflections of what their experiences were from childhood, young adulthood, whatever it is. How you are as an adult in the world that you're living in is because of what you've experienced, good, bad, or indifferent. It's because of what you experience. And if there isn't a point where, or if you don't have the access to learning things differently or seeing things through a different lens or just understanding things differently, you're going to go on in life only in the way that you know how to.
For sure. But, so what do we say to the people who feel like, man, this is just the way I am? All right. It's who I am. Why do I have to change?
They don't have to change. Right. But everything that comes along with that is a consequence, good, bad, or indifferent, of them not changing. So people have free choice, free will. You don't have to change. If you are okay with doing things in the way that you've done them or do them, that's fine. But if things don't happen in the way that you want them to happen or you don't see the outcomes that you're wanting or expecting because you only do things the way you know how to do them, right? Who's the blame there? Right? Change doesn't happen because you're comfortable. When you're comfortable, change doesn't happen. Change only happens when you become uncomfortable. You see that there's a need to do something differently.
For sure. Very well said. Very well said. So you've worked across systems, housing, workforce development, mental health. How do all these systems connect when it comes to client outcomes?
I am such a systems thinker, and I think that is what moved me from direct client work to working with organizations and groups, because everything is a system, and systems affect how people are going to go about their day-to-day. So on a systems level, I understand that things have to work in such a way. That's how the systems are set up. The systems are set up genuinely with not one particular person in mind, but with the system creator in mind, right? So people fall into that and are treated systematically instead of like people.
That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. Let's kind of hone in on that. People are treated systematically and not like people. How do we change that?
It's a systems approach, and it's not all the time that you have access to change the system, right? It's the policy workers, it's the analysts, it's the policy makers, it's the people who have voices in the room, it's the people who have the impact to change systems in that way. And sometimes when you're working in social service and you're working in these systems, right, you know your lane, you know your role. This is what I do. This is how I help the system. And all those things make sense. The hierarchy of the systems, though, sometimes you never know who those people are or what those things are. So you may feel like you don't have a chance to impact the system directly, but advocacy, policy making, getting into policy, all the boring behind the scenes things that make systems work is where system change happens. And awareness. If people don't know that there's an issue or that there's a problem, people can't come into attacking the problem.
Yeah, but so for the clients who feel like, man, that's I don't really care about all the behind the scenes stuff. How can you help me navigate through this system?
Yeah.
Knowing that the system is treating me wrong.
I'm a good-hearted person, and I want to believe that everybody who works in the system, in these systems, are working there because they want to help people, right? But again, it's advocacy, it's awareness. The average client may have to start talking to people that they don't necessarily feel comfortable talking to. So not just your case manager, not just your social worker, but someone that has a little bit more voice or a little bit, I don't want to say power, but power, someone who has a little bit more power to make something change, right? Change doesn't happen when you're comfortable. Change happens when you're uncomfortable. And until people who are maybe more removed from the day-to-day daily client thing, until they start to hear things from more than one person, change won't happen, or there won't be an awareness that change needs to happen.
For sure. So, if you had the opportunity, though, to speak to, a quote unquote system maker, what would you tell them?
I would love to speak to a system maker because I just want to see who they are. What led you to design this system in the way that you designed it? Who were you thinking about when you designed this system, and how has it been working or not working? For
sure. A lot of times, policies sound good on paper, but when they're implemented in real life, they just don't make any sense, right? Unfortunately.
Right.
But you said that you've kind of diverted from one-on-one work to kind of taking that systems approach and putting yourself in leadership positions. What's one leadership challenge that forced you to grow?
The system.
Back to the system.
For me, everything is systematic. So I do a combination of things now. So I still do some direct client work, but I do work on systems because systems don't work all the time. And it's not that the system itself doesn't working, but maybe the people who are running or regulating the systems need to see things differently. So for me, it's how do I now challenge what's happening here? Right. And that's how I even got into systems, because it was impeding on my values and on my morals. And we can't treat these people like numbers because they're humans. Right. And now what can be done about that? And I can't get that answer from someone who's in the same position as me, and maybe even in the position higher than me, because they're parts of the system as well.
For sure.
So now I needed to learn how systems work.
Right. And I commend you for taking that stance. Because it takes a lot of courage, right? It takes a lot of courage to say, hey, these don't, this doesn't align with my morals, my values, and I'm going to once again go back to that advocate of justice, that inner child, and advocate on every level, But you went on to pursue a mental health counseling degree, right? Now you're a licensed clinician. What made you pivot deeper into therapy?
Oh, COVID. COVID 100%. So right before COVID, I worked in supportive housing and in shelter. And when COVID started to creep up, it was a lot of people who was facing like challenges in their own life. Already they have their own barriers and challenges just living in supportive housing, living in shelter. And then COVID happened. So now I'm forced to be isolated. I'm forced to not be in community with my already limited community. I'm forced to not do the things that I already do that's already just helping me make it through. And we saw a lot of suicidality, and we saw a lot of drug overdose, and just a lot of people just not knowing what to do. And they would come to the people who were there because we're essential workers. So we had to be there on the front line with them, and we're the only people that they can talk to. So it was right around COVID time, maybe a little into COVID, because we had to understand what COVID was. Maybe a little into COVID, I was like, I can be the ear, I can be the active listener, but I was never taught how to deal with what you give me. Even going back to the childhood conversation, I was never taught how to deal with what people give me other than what I already know. So that's what kind of made me pivot and go back to get the degree.
Wow.
Also, years before, when I worked in substance abuse, I'm a challenger, so policies didn't make sense. This didn't make sense. Someone told me, I think it was someone HR, I can't remember their names right now. They were like, you got to be a qualified health professional if you want to make change. And what that meant is I needed a license in something. So it didn't happen right away, but then COVID kind of forced me to get a license in something so that I could have a voice.
Right, and you were able to even just getting that through COVID was a challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
And you were able to make that happen. So again, definitely kudos to you. But they say that every therapist needs a therapist. With everything that you're taking on, how do you cope, right? How do you get through dealing with all the trauma that's being put on you, especially during that time? Yeah,
so during that time, I had a therapist. I only don't have a therapist now, and this is not a justification or excuse. I only don't have a therapist now because the person I was working with moved. They're not in New York anymore. So I'm actively searching for a new therapist. And I had to learn that my therapy outlet is not supervision. So I shouldn't be going to therapy with all the trauma and all the drama that I'm dealing with at work. I need therapy as an outlet for myself. So I did learn that point, and that's why I'm actively still searching for a new therapist. But finding a therapist is almost like dating. You don't just go with the first one because they look good on paper. Like you have to actually talk to your therapist and figure them out and see if this is a good fit, because your therapy relationship is the most intimate relationship you're ever going to have in your life. You're going to tell your therapist things that you've never shared with anybody, and you want to make sure that that's a safe and solid, psychologically safe space. So I'm actively finding my therapist now. But my outlets, like I've had to find what works for me. Self-care is so important. I advocate for self-care, and self-care is just not making sure you look cute and get your nails done and your hair done, but actually like taking care of yourself and moving towards wellness. So that looks different for everybody. So for me, that looks like I check out. I disassociate from everything and everybody at a certain time. I don't want to talk to nobody on the phone. I talk to people all day long.
Right.
At a certain time, I don't want to talk to anybody. I turn my phone off. There's no emergency that's going to happen that needs me right in this moment. So it can wait. Learning that things can wait also became a part of my self-care.
Boundaries.
Yes. I don't need to immediately change what I'm doing to address the concerns of somebody else, especially if I'm not okay. I travel extensively. I travel all the time, and that is my layer of self-care because, again, I'm checking out. I don't want to worry about what's happening. I've already made a system that things are going to be okay until I get back. So I'm just going to check out for a couple of days, whether I'm doing something or not, whether it's a vacation, staycation, whatever it is. But I need time to check out.
Yes, for sure. And that's very crucial, especially for those who are in the field. But I kind of want to double back on the therapy conversation because some clients feel like, once the first person you engage in therapy with doesn't work out, they kind of get discouraged, and they kind of don't want to try again, or even almost being re-traumatized just by having to retell their story.
Absolutely.
What can you say to those clients who, just kind of need help navigating through the therapy space?
That is an understanding that I need help and I want someone to help me immediately. So I'm looking for instant satisfaction, instant gratification. But you think of your therapist in the same way that you think of any of your other service providers. When you go to the doctor, if it doesn't feel like a good fit, you don't just stick with the doctor because that's the first doctor that you came in contact with. If you go to the dentist and you didn't have a good dental experience, you don't just keep going back to that dentist because, oh my gosh, this is the first dentist that I picked, right? So think of your therapist as any of your other service providers. If you got in trouble and needed a lawyer, you would scout some lawyers to make sure that this is a good fit for you. Therapy is the same way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And at Coffee with Charlie, we do our research. So on Psychology Today, you mentioned that therapy should feel like a real conversation.
It absolutely should.
Break that down for people who are intimidated by therapy.
People, and this may be a generalized statement, people think that therapy is only for when things are wrong. And really, therapy is just a sounding board for you to come outside of your head and outside of your space and outside of your biases to hear something maybe different from what you understand and know, and to take things in a different way. So therapy is a conversation with yourself, with another person in the room.
Very well said. Very well said. So for those who are listening, please go to therapy, right? Don't deter from it, man. It's always good to, and a lot, especially in the Caribbean community, a lot of people prefer to just designate their girlfriends, their friends, their family members as their therapist, and that's okay. But there's nothing wrong with going to a professional, right? Don't put all of that weight on your friends. Sometimes your friends may just not want to hear it.
Yes, right? We go to those people because those people love us. And they want the best for us, and they want to see us do well. And those people may not all the time tell you what you need to hear.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
They're telling you what you want to hear. And in the moment, you may feel like they're telling you what you need to hear. And when they say something different, it's, oh my gosh, I didn't want to hear that from you, but this is your friend, right? When you speak to your therapist is coming from a different point of view, but it's still your own thoughts. It's still what you want to hear, in a way that you didn't know you needed to hear it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So therapy is good. We are definitely champions for therapy here at Coffee with Charlie. So you mentioned traveling, right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about entrepreneurship. So not only are you a therapist, but you've also launched Chanel's Travel Channel.
Yes.
What inspired that move?
I've been a traveler since I was young, since I was a kid. I've always wanted to explore the world. I started traveling for real extensively overseas in 2014, I believe it was. And traveling became therapy for me. It was my self-care, it was my outlet. And then someone, I don't even remember who it was now, but someone told me how to monetize that. So it was a hobby. Traveling was a hobby for me that I now help other people learn how to do. Traveling is super therapeutic. It's a way to focus your attention differently. And I actually now integrate travel into therapy with retreats and mindful spaces and how to use, the places and spaces that you go, even if you're not there physically, just how to travel in your mind to regulate yourself.
Very nice, because that actually went into my next question. I was going to ask, do you see travel as a part of mental wellness?
Absolutely. So I'm building, you mentioned earlier, I'm building a private practice now, Clarity, Direction, Wellness, CDW, which is also my initials. I'm building that now to merge my loves. So I have a love for therapy. I have a love for finding self. I have a love for travel. I have a love for psychological safety. So my platform will now combine all these things together. So it could be, hey, I need a solo trip to kind of refine myself or focus myself. So I want to bring you into the conversation of what it takes to build this out. And if you're not interested, I'll do it for you. But when you get there, these are the things that you can do. If you have a therapy group that you want to go to, let's build this out together. When I host groups sometimes together, I'll end it with, hey, here's an option for us to go on this retreat. I'll go with you and we'll do some of the therapeutic things that we've been practicing in sessions or in groups, and we'll do them in a space where that's not your norm. And then for organizations that I work with, for organizational leadership and staff training and development, those things, because my daytime job is in systems and work, training and development, program development, evaluations, all those things. So when companies reach out to me to do those things, we can also have a staff retreat so you can do these things in a space that is not your norm.
Superwoman.
No.
But hold on. So the listeners, right? Because I could just picture it. I can imagine in their head, they're saying, how do you balance it all? Yeah. And you're carrying it so well.
Yeah, I make my own schedule. So I have a daytime job, a 9 to 5, if you will, or it's 8 to 4, whatever, right? And that takes up a bulk of my time. Therapy, I do on my own schedule. I have pretty consistent folks, and I know when to schedule. I have blocks of time where I don't schedule anything. I adjunct also. I teach psychology. Again, I make my own schedule. So I do a whole lot of things that are all the same thing. So I'm not doing a whole bunch of things in different realms. Everything that I do is in mental health. Everything I do is in psychology. So that helps because I only have to have my brain function in this one lane. Even in training and development and program design, that's still all in like mental wellness, psychological wellness, psychological safety, organizational wellness, workplace safety, workplace wellness. So everything is in the same realm. And I have full control over my schedule.
That is a blessing. That is a blessing. Earlier, I was talking about how in life, sometimes you got to do what you can until you're in a position to do what you want, you know, so it's definitely a blessing to hear that. Can you tell us the name of the organization that you're going to build again? I really want to promote that out there.
Sure. It's in the works, right? I'm waiting for New York State to send me all the things. It's Clarity Direction Wellness.
Clarity Direction Wellness.
And through it, you're going to, the point of it is for you to gain clarity in what you're doing, find some direction, and then work towards wellness.
Very nice. Very nice. But back to the traveling, though, what's been your favorite trip that you've planned or taken thus far?
So many. It's funny on TikTok or Instagram or one of them, they had this charm bracelet where the charms are all the flags of the countries that you've been to. And I got that for Christmas. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been to some amazing places. My absolute fave, I have a few. My absolute fave was in Morocco, in Africa. I went for my birthday one year, and it was so meaningful because I got to go to Africa. Yeah. So that was so meaningful, and I actually want to journey back and try and get to as many countries in Africa as I can. My second fave is Dubai. I was in transition of not moving there full time, but
really,
yeah.
Oh wow.
Like having a place there to just go back and forth regularly.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Have you ever been to Antigua?
I have not been to Antigua myself, but I've planned a lot of folks' trips to Antigua.
Okay, you definitely gotta, go to the island of land, sea, and sun, 365 beaches.
Yes.
Shout out to my island, Antigua. Speaking of the Caribbean, though, I just kind of want to segue, man. What's your opinion on just mental health within the Caribbean diaspora? It's something that they're kind of they haven't really acknowledged it yet. So
definitely needs to be some education and awareness there, again, because culturally sometimes you're taught that what happens to you stays at home. What happens at home stays at home. You don't need strangers in your business. You don't have to go outside and let other people know what's happening with you. It's shame.
I feel like I'm a kid right now. I feel like I'm listening to my parents right now.
Shame, guilt, all the things, right? Facts. And therapy was so stigmatized because it goes against all of those teachings that you got in your rearing. So I think as a whole, the Caribbean diaspora or the African American diaspora as a whole has to be educated differently on what therapy actually is, because how it was given in the beginning when therapy first came a thing is not necessarily how it is now. It's changed. The field's changed so much. Things have evolved so much. It's almost cool to have a therapist now.
No, for sure. For sure.
And in certain places where that has not been normalized yet, it needs to have some real awareness, not forcing you to go to therapy. Therapy absolutely does not work if you're forced to be in a place and talk about things that you don't want to talk about. Let me backtrack on that, because you're going to talk about things you don't want to talk about. Mm-hmm. But if it's done in a way that you feel comfortable leading the conversation and you feel comfortable having this or learning how to feel comfortable in your discomfort, then it's going to work better. If you're forced to go into therapy, meaning you need therapy and I'm going to take you, it's not going to be as effective because you already have this mental block up that this is not someone I want to talk to. This is not someone I feel safe with. This is not someone where I would want to share my secrets with. So I think there needs to be some education and some awareness in a way that they're going to understand.
For sure. And also to add on to that, or another question I would like to ask is, how do we kind of like maybe destigmatize, right, the stigma on therapy without trying to change the culture? Because there's still certain things that are culturally valuable that they're probably refusing to let go of.
Education still, just really knowing what therapy is, right? And what therapy is not. So a lot of times it's like a therapist is going to tell me what to do and tell me how to live my life. That's absolutely not true. Your therapist, I tell people, I'm just your therapist. I can't tell you what to do. Right? You make your own decisions. And until there is an understanding of what therapy actually is and what it could look like, then, and that there are therapists who are like you, that there are culturally aware therapists, there are culturally sensitive therapists, there are therapists from the Caribbean island that you are from that understand the nuances and the challenges that you are facing. And you may or may not want that, right? But again, education and awareness.
Sounds good. And what about medication? That's also another big topic. What's your opinion on mental health medication?
Choice. That's your choice. A lot of mental health illnesses, diagnoses, quote unquote, are more successful with medication. Like medication needs to be paired with talk therapy or some other type of therapy. That's just the way some diagnoses are because it's more chemical or biological in your body, right? So some people may need medications to help along the way.
Yeah.
There are other diagnoses that don't necessarily require medication to be successful in therapy. So medication is a choice. I'm knowledgeable of it. I'll have a conversation with you about how you feel about medication and the pros and cons. At the end of the day, it's your choice.
For sure. And it's all about transparency. So let's talk about some current events in the mental health field, right? Let's talk about AI. Ooh. Tools like ChatGPT, virtual therapy, mental health apps. Do you see AI as a threat or a support to therapists?
Both. So it's absolutely a threat when there are no guardrails and no channels. AI is a machine. It's a computer. It's not a human being. So you teach it to do the things that you need it to do. It learns your conversation. It learns how you are. So if you are defaulting to ChatGPT as your therapist, it may or may not be giving you accurate information because a lot of AI kind of just learned you and they learn how you talk. They learn what your responses are, right? So they're giving you information along those lines. It's kind of going back to the friend conversation, right? Where your friends or your family are going to may tell you things that are just along the lines of what you want to hear and not anything differently. I'm not against AI at all, but it needs to be used responsibly. And absolutely is an asset to back what you're learning. Whether you choose to go to therapy or not, it's a tool to help you in your understanding and what you're learning in real time. But everything has to have a safeguard or some guardrails around it.
100%. One of the hot topic questions are we at risk of people self-diagnosing too much with all this access to information?
Absolutely. We self-diagnose with Google. When Google became a thing and you got an ailment or you went to Google and it's like, hey, I got a cut on my finger and my nail is coming off. What do I do? And it told you how to get your finger chopped off. Right? Because there's no safeguards, no guard. It's the internet. It's a machine, right? So without guardrails, of course, it can be dangerous. But if it's used responsibly, it can be an asset.
Do you think that there will be a time where technology can replace human connection in therapy?
Not human connection, no. It can feel like a replacement, right? And that's why therapy right now is more important than ever because a lot of mental health challenges, a lot of people who face mental health challenges, whether diagnosed or undiagnosed, there's a level of isolation. So if you're fully relying on this AI tool to talk to me and to give me advice and to tell me what to do and kind of just run or give me direction, you are further isolating yourself. So you're losing that sense of connection, you're losing sense of community, and you're losing touch with folks, with people. Just generally, humans weren't made to be in isolation. Humans were made to be in connection with other people, right? So again, with no safeguards and without safe rails and guardrails in place, like AI can definitely turn isolation even deeper than it is now. All of our children are isolated. They're on the iPads. They don't want to talk to people. They're watching kids play games instead of playing games with each other, right? Even some adults, right? They're constantly on their phones, constantly on screens, constantly doing things that are not in connection with other people. So AI can definitely make the shift away from human connection in therapy, but it will not replace the human connection in therapy.
For the clinicians, whether they're in school now or they just graduated, from your opinion, what should they be doing to stay relevant in this evolving space?
Learning things that you're not learning in school, being inquisitive, asking questions, doing your own research, being knowledgeable on the things that you are interested in, right? Whether you have a niche or not, just constantly learning, never stop learning. The helping profession is one of those fields where you're never going to master it. There's always going to be something new that you should stay relevant on. Even now, whether students are in school or you're a licensed therapist or a psychologist, like, you got to learn AI. AI is not going anywhere. So you have to learn how to use it. You have to learn how to use it for yourself as a clinician. You have to learn how your clients are going to be using it, what that comes with, right? So you have to constantly be learning something.
Absolutely. Got to constantly evolve, right? We cannot stay stagnant. For those who are just tuning in, you already know it's Coffee with Charlie. We got a special guest in the building, Chanel Weathers. You guys have basically received the masterclass for free, right? So, it's a lot of information. Definitely super grateful for you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's kind of smooth things out, man.
Sure.
Let's kind of segue into a game, right?
Okay.
We're gonna call it the therapist must-haves.
Okay.
So it's gonna be fast-paced. I'm gonna give you two options.
Let me sit up. Okay.
It's gonna be two options, and you kind of just go with your answer. Okay. All right. Coffee or tea for sessions?
Tea.
Virtual therapy or in person?
In person.
Notes during session or after?
During.
CBT or freestyle conversations?
CBT.
Boundaries or flexibility?
Boundaries.
All right, give me
with flexibility.
Boundaries with therapy. Give me your top 3 therapist must-haves.
Sweater. A chair sweater. Mm-hmm. Dang, what are my top 3? I always need a sweater because I'm always cold, especially in the office. Snacks.
What type of snacks?
Oh, for me, it's this gum that you got right here. I have protein bars. I have fruit roll-ups. I don't see children, but I only see adults, but I got fruit roll-ups, water, juice, just things that keep your energy up, right, and comfort foods.
Very nice, very nice. And then one more must-have.
One more, music in the background.
Okay, well, what you listening to?
I listen to everything. When I'm in a room by myself, you're liable to hear anything.
Copy that. What's one thing every therapist needs to avoid burnout?
Time management. Taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. What's one habit that separates a good therapist from a great one?
Time management and self-care.
Time management and self-care. And what's one myth about therapy you want to kill right now?
That your therapist is going to tell you what to do with your life.
Very nice.
And that you only need therapy when things are wrong.
Right. So it's like an ongoing thing, right? It should be a part of overall character development.
And wellness.
Yeah, and wellness.
You have a doctor and you go when things are wrong, but you go to the doctor for your annuals, for your checkups, for questions, right? You don't only go to your doctor when things are wrong. So seeing therapy in the same light that you see providers. You don't only go to your providers when things are wrong. You go for maintenance, you go for check-ins, you go for everything.
Absolutely. Let's talk about burnout balance in real life really quickly, right? Sure. So you work with high-performing professionals. What does burnout look like clinically?
Not knowing how to say no, overworking, being frustrated all the time, not knowing how to regulate, not knowing how to deal with conflict. That's burnout in real time.
And what are 3 signs someone is mentally exhausted but doesn't realize it?
Being overworked, being tired, recognizing that I'm tired and I don't know what to do with this space. I'm feeling frustrated all of the time. I need to sleep, but I can't sleep. I need to be awake, but I'm struggling staying awake. I don't know. I don't want to deal with people right now. I'm frustrated at work all the time. Like there's no balance there.
Yeah. It's so interesting you say that because, in some cultures, some communities, overworking is how they cope. So how do you speak to someone who is probably burnt out from working, but if they're not working, they feel even more stressed out?
Yeah.
They don't know how to rest.
Have you ever been in a space where you were not overly worked or you're not working at all and you felt a sense of calm? If the answer is no, you're overworking yourself.
Very deep, very deep. And how do you personally maintain balance wearing multiple hats?
I take control. I'm in a space now, and I don't want to sound super privileged, but I'm in a space now in my career. I've been in my field in this career almost 20 years, or if not 20 years. And I'm in a space now where I have more control over my time and what I choose to do and how I choose to do it. And I feel like that is the only way that I'm at balance. I don't engage in things that I don't want to do. I don't do things that I don't want to do. I say no very confidently for things that I can't take on anymore. And without those things, without that recognition or awareness of myself, I would not be able to do all the things that I'm doing now.
Right. So what do you say to that shy social worker, that shy case manager, that shy student who wants to get to that point where they can kind of control their time, but, kind of feels like, let me just say yes to everything so I could kind of move up in the workspace? Like, what do you say to them?
As a person in the helping profession, and I know this sounds so cliche because it sounds cliche in my head, as a person in the helping profession, why are you here? If you don't understand or know why you're here and why you're doing this work, you are going to go along to get along, and it's not going to feel purposeful for you. So while you're in this field, whatever stage you're in, understand what this means for you and why you're doing the work that you're doing. And then you're going to learn that, no, that doesn't align with me, or no, this doesn't feel right. And I understand, like, very early on in your career or even as a student, you have to do the things just to be in a position to say no.
Right.
Like you have to do the clinical work, you have to do therapy, you have to take this internship, right? So some of the things you're going to have to do, but you always have a choice in the things that you're doing. You don't always have to say yes. And there's a lot of anxiety that people don't realize are connected to anxiety, that I have to say yes because what if I say no? What if you say no? Then you do something different, right? So earlier on in your careers, it feels like I have to say yes or I have to take on all the opportunities, and you don't. But you have to have the awareness of yourself and like the knowledge of yourself. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Is this yes really going to do something for me?
Very well said. Very well said. Gotta be self-aware, folks. You got to be
self-awareness
self-aware.
is so important. And a lot of times in the helping profession, the professionals are not as self-aware as they want to be, because I got to put everybody else first.
Yeah, and putting yourself first is very important.
You got to put yourself on the to-do list. I say that 3 times a day to everybody. You have a to-do list. You have a list of things that you want to do personally, professionally, but where are you on this list?
For sure. 100%. 100%. So, as a woman in leadership and mental health, what does this journey mean to you 20 years in?
That has changed so much and that I don't know anything. As I grow and learn in this profession, I learn something new every day. Let me not say that I don't know anything. I know a lot. But the journey, like, I know my why. I know why I got into this field. But as I learn other things and new things, my why changes, right? So right now, my why is, why are things working in the way that they work? So I'm more systems-based now than direct client facing for good reason. Now I need to do my part in educating other spaces. So during the day, I'm a trainer. I'm a state trainer. I work with ACT teams, assertive community treatment teams, in educating them on their policies and procedures. How can you include employment and education in recovery as a part of recovery and not an afterthought, right? Because as a service provider, it's like, nope, we got to get you stable. We got to get you housing. We got to get you this. We got to get you that. We got to get you an apartment. But we don't talk about the finances, right? So training is where I'm at now. Training and development, building curriculums, building policies, building people's operational agreements. Like, what are you doing here and how can we do this well? How can you do this well to keep your staff, right? To have a workplace that feels safe for your folks, to have a workplace where your staff feels psychologically safe to say, you know what, I'm dealing with this thing and I need to tap out. Yeah. Or what's the policy here for me to take time for myself, or what's this or what's that? We have so many folks who are scared to take their own PTO, right? So my why has changed. In the beginning, it was just, I want to help people. My why now is, how do I do that effectively and efficiently in the lane that I'm in?
Right. And that sounds like a lot of power, right? So how do you define power as a woman, clinician, and entrepreneur?
Power is having a voice that you're not afraid to use. And I'm not afraid to use my voice. That's powerful for me.
Any advice on how people can find their voice?
You gotta learn yourself. And that's not easy. And you may not always feel like you have the access to learn yourself. But really just to tap in and take a step back and understand why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. It's a journey with yourself.
For sure. And, 20 years in, what impact do you want your work to have 10 to 15 years from now? What's the goal? What's the future goal?
That people are the only things that really stand in your way. I, as a person, I'm the only person that stands in my way, and there's so many other things out there for me to do. I think my mantra is that the sky is not the limit. There's a whole universe beyond it. Like, you can literally do anything that you want to do. That's what I want. That's the impact that I want to leave, that people can do anything that they want to do.
Very, very
There's
empowering.
challenges along the way. You're going to have to jump through the hurdles, but that's life, right? When you figure out how to do those things, there's really no stopping you.
For sure. And I always like to end off these sessions with 3 gems. What are 3 gems you would like to leave with the people today?
3 gems. Learn how to say no confidently and stand on it. Learn what makes you happy in the moment. Stand on that. And that's going to change throughout your lifetime, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. And learning that you don't have to, I want to say this the right way. Learning that you don't have to make everybody's urgency your urgency. Making everyone's emergency your emergency. Don't do that.
Like you said, got to set those boundaries,
Mm-hmm,
right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to set those boundaries. So, from service to leadership, from therapy to entrepreneurship, you are the definition of evolving with purpose.
Oh, that's nice.
This is what Women's Month is about, right? Impact, resilience, and building legacy. Whether it's mental wellness or booking your next escape, Chanel is showing us that healing and living go hand in hand.
Yes.
Where can the people find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Get Well with Nels. That's my therapy platform. A lot of information is there. The links to how to connect with me are also there. I'm available for therapy on like Headway platforms, private sessions also. My information is all in the link in my bio. That sounds so cliche. It's all in the link in my bio on @GetWellWithNels. Nels with a Z, NELLZ.
And what about the travel platform? Is it all connected?
Everything is together.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank Coffee with Charlie for having me here today, and exploring my mindset. Sometimes the things that I'm not often always thinking about. So you can find me on Instagram @GetWellWithNels. It's GetWellNellz.
Yes, Get Well with Nels with a Z.
With a Z.
All righty, folks. You got a masterclass today. Thank you so much for coming. We need to have these conversations in the algorithm, especially with all the negativity that's out there. I like to push positivity in there. So for those who are listening, make sure you tap in, get well with Nels, and also let them know what to look forward to, the name of your the business you're going to create.
Yes, in the works currently right now is my private practice, Clarity Direction Wellness Psychotherapy. That is the platform where I'm offering individual therapy, couples therapy, but also for the therapist. I'm a therapist for therapists. So background, documentation review, chart reviews, audits, all those things that I'm offering therapists who need help in their own private practices. So be on the lookout for that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All righty, folks. Another legendary episode, Coffee with Charlie, and we are out.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
When I'm feeling under the weather, you just make me feel sweet. Ice the cocoa tea, use the sugar, and together we are complete. Darling, heat me up. Only you alone can put fire back in the soul. Heat me up, and they telling me I should leave that fire alone. But the more they tell me, the more I'm holding you close. I could never let you go. Miss Oceanade, girl, I'm coming home, I will see you again. All day through the night I'm dreaming. Yeah, Miss Oceanade, when you turn it up, make it smooth, my darling. When outside